could also be the most dangerous thing that any man could see because whatever is destroyed by fire can never be recovered. Welcome to another edition of Safety Tips. I remain your guide, Paul Orukamayan. Today we're going to be looking at fire emergency. What do we mean by fire emergency? Fire emergency is any situation that erupts from any fire outbreak. For example, if you have your electrical appliance placed in your office and you close without putting them off, and there is a spark as a result of breach of electricity supply, it could spark and become fire outbreak. If you leave something in your fire and it finish burning and burning, it could also trigger into fire outbreak. Are you that person who is a smoker who just finished smoking and decide to throw off the filter on the dry grass in this dry season? It could also lead to fire outbreak. Or do you own a business entity where we have highly inflammable substance like a filling station, a gas station? You need to put your safety teams, your safety equipment in place to reduce the effect of fire outbreak. Are you involved in bush burning? Please, you can stop it now in this Amateur season because bush burning could lead to the destruction of properties, even vehicles, house, and even the loss of life and property. So when we talk about fire in particular, we say do not play with fire because fire will burn you. What are the major things that could lead to fire outbreak? One is man's carelessness. What do we mean by man's carelessness? It's as a result where somebody put on a candle in his house and slept off without recourse that the candle wax could get burned and inflame into fire. It's also involved when somebody have a gas cooker and you're perceiving smell of gas and you don't rectify where that fault is. It could also lead to fire outbreak. Fire could also be caused by using the wrong equipment for installation. Let's say you're building your house. Use the right electrical equipment because when you use the wrong one, it could spark and leads to fire. Are you a car owner and in your car the fuel is dripping gradually and you just say, let me rush somewhere and come back? That could also cause fire outbreak, and so on and so forth. There's so many things that could cause fire outbreak, and when this happens, it's actually devastating to the society. What are we going to focus today? Our focus is going to be first, the prevention. How do you prevent fire outbreak? First, it's your level of preparation. How prepared are you knowing that you live with fire that is so dangerous? Do you have fire extinguisher in your car? The road safety will always say, where's your fire extinguisher? And you look at it as if you're joking. That fire extinguisher can save a car of 5 million or even 100,000 when there is an ignite around the fire. So how prepared are you to be able to have a protective equipment there in your car in case there is fire outbreak? In your home, do you have a gas cylinder and you decide to put the gas cylinder in your kitchen where you also have the gas top that is burning? You are not prepared at all to run and manage fire outbreak. Your gas cylinder should be outside your kitchen so that in case of emergency, you can easily disconnect two without getting an explosion from it. How prepared are you? Do you run a filling station? In your filling station, is there a fire hydrant? Fire hydrant is a high pressure water system that is designed to fight fire, and it's supposed to be in every filling station. It's supposed to be in a gas station, industrial area, and so on. So you need a fire hydrant that is working and must be checked every 3 months around that industry that you own. How prepared are you in terms of fire? Do you have fire alarm in your house or in your office that could call in case there is smoke? The fire alarm will just trigger and call your attention so that the effect of the fire could be reduced in terms of emergency. How prepared are you? Do you own a very big industry? Do you have fire water sprinkler installed in your office? The sprinkler will help automatically quench any fire when it picks up fire smoke. Do you have fire alarm in your industry, in your house? You need to fix a fire alarm so that that can prevent emergency. Do you have the state fire service number? You need to hold the fire service number so that in terms of emergency, in terms of fire outbreak, you call the fire service. Don't start looking for people who will call the fire service for you. If you have it placed in your office, placed in your home, everybody know what the fire service number is. Immediately there's emergency, they will activate the fire service and it will help reduce the damage of fire. What safety preparation do you have? Are you trained in fire safety? Are your staff trained in fire safety? In your work environment, who is trained on fire safety? Fire, it's very easy to fight, but you truly need to know the technique to fight, to put off the fire. If you have a fire from a burning pot, as quick as possible, cover the fire and the entire fire will go off from there. If you have somebody burning on the fire, just wrap the person in a blanket and roll the person on the ground. The fire will go off completely. If you have a gas attached to a gas top attached to a cylinder and the gas top is on fire, once you disconnect the head from the cylinder, the gas itself cut off automatically. Is it fuel that you have? Is it fuel that you have that is ignited? All you need to look is to attack the source of that fuel by putting your fire extinguisher at the source, and it's going to divide the fire from the fuel itself. Now, if you are safely trained and you are professionally trained to manage fire, then we already have a simple situation in our hands. However, fire could also burn. What do you do when somebody gets burned in fire? Permit me to use this medium to sympathize with all those who might have lost somebody as a result of fire outbreak, but you need to pay attention to this. When somebody gets burned by fire, the first thing the person loses is fluid. The person loses body fluid automatically because of the surface of the tissues that have been burnt. Take note, if anybody have up to 50% of the body burned, that person must get to the hospital as quick as possible so that it can be rehydrated. However, if you see somebody that is burnt, the first thing you need to do is to cool the burnt area with a running water for 10 minutes. What do we mean by cooling with a running water? The person already have an high temperature in his body. So the quicker you reduce the temperature, the lesser the tissues that are going to die. So if you can run water on that part of the body for 10 minutes, you be rest assured that the person will start gradually coming down to its normal self. 2, you need to cover the burnt area with a non-fluffy material like a polythene bag or a non-sticking cloth like a silk shirt, so that it can be pulled off easily when treatment needs to come up. So you need use a non-fluffy material to wrap the burnt area, and next you send the person to the medical professionals. When we say send the person to the medical professionals, you get the person as quick as possible to the hospital because the person needs to be well rehydrated. What did I say? If somebody is burnt, the first thing you must think of is to use a running water to cool the affected area. Make sure that that part is cool. If for about 10 minutes, run that water. When you run that water, it puts the person's heart to rest. If you don't do that, the temperature increases in the heart and the person could die as a result of that. So remember, you must try to run water on the affected part. You cover with a non-fluffy material and you refer the person to the nearest medical facility. What you should not do if somebody gets burned is you do not remove cloth that is sticky to the affected part of that person. When somewhere is burnt, it usually don't bleed. If there's a cloth stick to it and you remove it by force, it starts bleeding. And once it's bleeding, you find it difficult to stop the bleeding because the entire body is light. So please don't remove any cloth that is stick to the burnt area. Don't remove any jewelry that is stick to the burnt area. Please don't attempt to take a risk. Don't attempt to take risks. Somebody is trapped in a burning house. If you are not a trained firefighter, you don't have the skill to go into a burning house, please don't attempt. Instead of you to go and two persons die, it is better for one life to be lost. However, it is not safe for you to enter a burning environment when you don't have the skill. Why don't you just wait for the firefighters and they will come and put an end to that situation and get the person recuperated. Finally, what do you need to do in all your business and your property? Insure your property. Insure your property. It is the best cure to every fire situation. If your properties are well insured and there's fire outbreak, you go to sleep. But if your properties are not insured and there's fire outbreak and you lost your entire property, you develop BP that could lead to a quick death that you never planned for. So always try to insure your property in case of eventuality. With this little guide, I believe we've been able to discuss what fire is, what you should do in case of fire outbreak. We also know that you need to have a fire protective equipment all around you. Know that you need to be trained, you and your personnel and your colleague, your children need to be trained on how to fight fire. And if fire burns somebody, you need to run water on the affected part for about 10 minutes, cover with a non-fluffy material, and transport the person to the hospital. I remain your guide, Paul Orukamayan on safety.